everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be doing a PC build guide the right way. Last time we didn't do it right, so today we're going to be doing it right. Now, we've actually added some parts since the last time we did this, but let's just get right into the parts here. So the first thing that we have is a Ryzen 5 2600 X processor, same one as last time. We have a sound card. We have the RX 570 overclocked edition. We have a B450F gaming motherboard here. We have a 250 gig SSD. We have a 2 terabyte Western Digital hard drive. We have 3 of these fans. We have light strips. We have cable mod sleeving in red. We have same RAM, 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. Got another fan here. We got the now this is these I couldn't remove from the case. They're already in there, but we do have them. We have our Seasonic power supply. We have a Kraken X52 CPU cooler. AIO, and then we have our Crystal 570X. So now we're going to be installing the CPU. Okay, everybody, so what you want to do is you want to get your processor, RAM, and your motherboard for sure on the table. You could put your cooler on the table, but you don't need it right away. These are the 3 main components that we're going to need right away. So, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set our processor and RAM off to the side, and we just have our motherboard. Now, I have already unboxed this motherboard, so this is not the kind of unboxing experience that you would get from your motherboard, but we are going to take out these 2 SATA cables, our motherboard, and these screws, because these are all my fan screws and my motherboard screws, and that's about all we're going to need from the motherboard box. So we're just going to set our motherboard down here on the box here. Now, you should test your components. I'm not going to because I know all of them work, obviously. But we're going to now take our processor. Now, I'm just going to set the motherboard out of the way here so you can see how to unbox your processor. Okay. So, as you can see here, we have the installation instructions, but we don't really care because we already know how to install our CPU, obviously. And here we have our cooler. Now, this is the cooler that we used last time, as you can see, but we won't be using it this time. So, we are just going to put it back in the box along with this. And now our cooler is all unboxed. Okay. And now we're just going to set it off to the side. So, here is our processor. There we go. And we're going to bring our motherboard back. And before we take our CPU out, we are just going to pull up the retention arm there. So to do that, you have to kind of pull it away and then up. And then to open up our CPU here, we're going to just open this up. And the pins are all exposed. So we don't want to touch these pins, because if you bend one, your processor will not work. And we're just going to locate here the gold triangle and the triangle on our motherboard. And we're just going to drop our processor in there, and it will just kind of fall into place. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put the retention arm down, just like that. And our processor is now installed. So the next thing that we're going to install here today is our memory. Now, as you can see, just moving this over here, we will put that back in the box later. But as you can see your memory on the back. And we're just going to open the flap up here on the top, dump it out, and there is our memory. Right there, 8 by 16, not 8 by 16, 2 by 8 gigs here, so for a total of 16 gigabytes of RAM. Here, and there we go, it just opens like that. Okay, so now here we're just going to take it out. And these you can just lay on your table. There's nothing really, as long as you don't really touch the gold pins on the bottom, you'll be fine with your RAM. And we're just going to pick them up, bring them over, and we're just going to zoom in there on these slots. Now, since we have 2 sticks, our motherboard says we need to put them in slot 2 and slot 4. Now, if you're using 2 memory sticks, they should never be next to each other. So we're just going to open up the flaps there, and the other ones on the other side will not open. And then we're just going to line the gold notches up with the slots here. And we're just going to stick it in, and sorry, that was not a memory slot. That was the motherboard. That is still not a memory slot. What the? Oh. What? Oh, there we go. Now you kind of want to get it in, like, together. And then just push it down like that. There we go. And then it will lock into place. Same thing with the other stick. There we go. And it will do the exact same thing. So there we go. We have now installed our memory and our CPU on our motherboard. So the next thing here that we're going to do is take out our cooler. So, just going to unbox it here. Here is our cooler. Pretty lame unboxing experience here, but because I didn't save like the extra packing material. So we have our fans here. There we go. Which we will be using. Are not RGB, but we will still be using them. And then our cooler. So here is the entire cooler. Just going to lay that like that. And then here we have our mounting screws, which we will need. And this thing, which will plug into the motherboard later. So, we're just going to basically do this. Put our cooler box back. And then we just want our pump. We will unplug in this cable now as well. So what you're going to do here is you're just going to find this, and then make sure to line it up properly. As you can see, we did not line properly. And it just plugs in there, and I will show you where this cable plugs in on the motherboard later. And then this will plug in to our AIO pump, and then this will plug into a SATA cable later, and then here these will plug our fans into. So the first thing that I'm going to do before I install my AIO pump on the CPU is I'm going to install the fans. Now fans are pretty easy to install, especially here. Now we're going to be using a pretty low-end screwdriver here today. But, you know, you can use whatever screwdriver you want. But we're just going to dump out our mounting stuff here. And we want these long screws right here for fans. So, we're just going to put our fan on like that. Make sure to line everything up. And then we're going to stick our fan in. And then just screw it down like this. now, the next thing that you want to do is once you get your fan all installed like that, is you want to screw things down always in a crisscross pattern. Now you want to do this because then you're applying an even pressure on the entire thing. Now if I was to install this one, this one, this one, and this one, this side would be getting more pressure than the other side, and we do not want that because I did that when I was installing my cooler when I first did this build, and it's not fun to do, really. So yeah, that's kind of why you shouldn't do that. So now I'm going to screw this one in and this one, and then I'll see you back. Okay, everybody, so as you can see, our fans are now all installed on the radiator. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is there should be pre-applied thermal paste on the cooler, but obviously since I already applied it once, I used the thermal paste then. So now, what we're actually going to do is we have to apply thermal paste this time. So, we're going to bring over our motherboard, and then what we're going to do is we have to apply thermal paste to our CPU. Now, and then it will obviously stick on the radiator. So now, once you take the tip off here, if you're not using the pre-applied thermal paste, which I did the first time, but not this time, we just want to squirt a little bit on. We're just going to start with that much, because we can always add more. So we now have a popsicle stick, which we are going to use to spread our thermal paste, and this is not going to go well. So I will see you when we are done spreading. Okay, everybody, so we don't need like a ton of thermal paste spread on there. We just need a little bit. So we're just going to put the cap obviously back on our thermal paste. And we are going to now put our fan or our AIO in. Now it's going to go this way in the case. So I want all of these. So then I want to put it like this, except I have to line it up. Which it is not lined up. So there we go. Okay. There we go. So it is now on. Oops, and I didn't really want my cables like that, but actually can I do this? You know, I can't do that. So I'm going to put my pump like this, actually, because it will be better for... Actually, no, I'm going to leave it like this, actually. It will be for better cable management. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I just cannot, like, make up my mind about which I want this pump. There we go. Okay, so we got it installed. So now we're going to take these big things right here, and we are just going to tighten them here on our standoffs here. Now normally you would have to install the back plate already, but my motherboard has the back plate pre-installed, so we did not need to install that today. Okay, so we're just going to install all 4 of these, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, everybody, so the next thing here that we are going to do is we are going to sleeve our AIO. So we just remove that, and then these. Now these we might not put on, just because they're like extremely hard to put on, so we may not put them on. We may not. Okay, so, we got our AIO right here. And now we just got to put these on. So you're just gonna kind of, they're difficult to get on. I probably should not have taken these off. I really regret taking these off, but I mean, whatever. There we go. Uh-oh. No! Okay, like half the thing just came off. Okay, everybody, I decided not to put them on. Okay? That's what I decided. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to put our motherboard and our cooler here. We're going to pick them up and put them in a safe place, which is going to be on my desk. Basically, it's not a super safe place, but it is now. Oh, and I'm just going to move our two SATA cable. And then we're going to move all of this extra hardware, because we'll need the hardware later. But now, what we're going to do is we're going to unbox the case, which is super cool. Which I'm just going to clear the table very quickly before we do that. Okay, everybody, so you can start to see the case here, but we're just going to open it up here. And this is such a cool case. And here we go. Just gotta move this. There we go, just so you can kind of see the case there. And here it is. So I'm going to get this out of the box, and then we will prepare to install our motherboard. Alright, everybody. So, here is the case. So, we're just going to remove the thumb screws, which they just twist off. So, I mean, pretty simple removal. And you can see the wires that are our front panel connectors, which are everybody's favorite things to connect. I mean, the front panel connectors are the best. Honestly, they are. Okay, so there we go. Just remove the side panel like so. Once you unscrew it, it will just come off like that. And there we go. We are now inside our case. So we're going to move all the front panel connectors over. Like that. Stick that like right there. Okay. And I have to fix something quick. Everybody, there we go. It is now all off. And this light strip cable will plug in later, because I didn't want to take the light strips out, so I left them in here. And whew, this is going to be tough, because we have our motherboard. Okay, and we have our radiator. So I think we're going to mount the motherboard first and forget about the radiator at the moment. Okay, so we now have all of our screws in. We have a pre-installed I/O shield, which is very nice for this case. And it's not quite lined up. As you can see, it's pretty lined up, but not quite. And I would like it more lined up than that. Everybody, I got it in. I just had to shove it over a little bit. But now we need this bag, which has our fan screws, but also our tiny, tiny motherboard screws, which look like this. They're very tiny, as you could tell. But the camera won't focus, but they're super tiny. And they hold your motherboard in place. Now, in some motherboard cases, in some cases you'll have to hold your motherboard. It won't just be like this, because the thumb screw there in the middle won't be sticking out like that. So, make sure to check your case before you just let your motherboard hang, because it could fall out and we would not want that. Alright everybody, so now that we have our motherboard installed, I forgot to tell you, your motherboard, if you have a mini ITX, ATX, since they all have different configurations, your case might not be in the correct formation. Mine was, just because ATX boards are pretty common, so Corsair decided to put the formation in ATX. So what I just did here is I took off the top panel, and I'm just going to raise you up quick because otherwise you won't be able to see how we put the radiator on. Okay everybody, so the next thing that we are going to do here is we're going to take our small screw and a washer, and we're going to line up the holes here at the top of the case. There we go, that fan cord was in the way. And there we go. So there are very tiny holes there, so we just want to line them up. And then take our screw and just install it just like so. Okay everybody, so now we have all our cables. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our two fan cables, which are right here and right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug them into this, which is very cool. And then this cable we'll deal with later, so we're just going to route it into the back of the case right now. So we're just going to route it up there and to the back. And then we have this cable, which we're going to route also to the back of the case, which, once we get it back there, we will eventually bring it down here. Okay, so now we're going to install our fans. Now there is 3 fans that we're going to be installing in the front here. So if you have any fans to install, you should grab them right now because we are going to be installing them. So I have all 3 of my fans right here. And the first one here, what we're going to do is we're going to put the cables in, and then we're going to put them straight through the middle grommet, and then we can install it. So we're going to take our fan cables, actually not our fan cables, but our fan screws, and we are going to take our screwdriver, which we have right here, and we're just going to screw it in. So I will see you when we have them all installed. So now that we got our top fans installed and our front fans, there's only one fan left to install, the back fan. So we are just going to take it out of the box here. Back fan, so exciting. And this back fan is not RGB, because I cut the RGB wire, so it's not RGB anymore, unfortunately, but it's still a fan. So I'm not going to show you how to install this fan because it's the exact same process that you use to install all the other fans, except you're going to be, so you're going to put the fan like this or however you want it, and then you're going to screw it in through the back. Alright, now that our fan is installed, we take the fan cable, and we're just going to, now, as I was saying, we wrap it around, and then we plug it in. Actually, with this, I'm going to try to wrap it up around. That's not going to work. So, we unfortunately have to do that, and then plug it in. And I'm plugging it in the wrong way, so that always helps. Oh, gosh. There we go. And we will cable manage this wire later. So now, we're going to get our power supply out. Okay, everybody, so now we have our power supply here. And we need to unbox it. So all the cables that we're going to need are in here. I've only put the cables that I need in here. There are other cables that will come with it, but I personally only put the cables that I need in there. And then here's our physical power supply itself. So we're just going to put that back and then take our cables out. There we go. We're just going to set right there. Put the bag back in. And we are done with the power supply box. Now, we're just going to go through the cables quickly here. So, we have our motherboard cable. We have our, let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is our graphics card cable. Yeah, it is. It's our graphics card cable. This is our CPU cable. And then this cable is kind of SATA thing, and same with this one. So, my power supply is modular. Yours may not be, but if it isn't, then you can skip this step. Okay, so we have motherboard cable there. So we're just going to plug it in how it says. So we're just going to plug it in like this and like this. And it doesn't want to go in. There. Oh, because it wasn't totally lined up. There we go. So we got our motherboard cable installed. Now we need our 4x4 CPU connector, which is right here. Yep, right here. So this end goes in because it says PSU. So we know that means that this side goes in the power supply. And then we need this cable, which plugs in right here. There we go. And then this cable, which also plugs in right there. I'm pretty sure that you can just plug in all your cables, just like that. And then we have our graphics card connector, which plugs in right there. So now that we have all our modular cables plugged in, we're going to put our power supply in the case, and then we'll hook all our cables up. There is an option that pretty much all power supplies have if you want your fan down or up. Now, I'm pretty sure I had my fan down last time, but I decided to put it up this time. Just because I felt like it, honestly. Because I realized that if I put it upright, the Seasonic stuff is, their logo is like upright like that. So you can read it like that. Last time it was down. So now what we have to do is we have to screw our power supply in using these screws right there. Which I don't know where it is. There, right there. Okay, everybody, so what you're going to do next is you're going to grab your drives, if you have any, which you should, because if you don't have an M.2, then you have a hard drive. Now, the first cable here that we're going to install on our drives here is the SATA cable. And we will install the other cable in just a minute. It comes off the power supply, so there we go. Got it in our SSD, and now we just have to put it in our hard drive, and these plug into the motherboard, I'm pretty sure. There we go. Just like that. So there we go. Now that these are installed, we're going to mount them and then plug them in. Okay, everybody, so I decided that before we plug in our drive, it will be easiest just to, get everything, all our cables wired. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to take our cables, get all our cables out here just so we can see them all. And there we go. Okay, so the first connector here that we have is our graphics card. So we're honestly just going to send that through this slot right here. Just because it is, graphics card normally goes in, it's normally kind of mounted toward the bottom of your case. So that's why we're sticking that cable right through there. Then the next cable here that we have is the motherboard cable, which we're going to stick this through the middle one because our 24-pin connector is pretty close to the middle. It would also work if you stuck it through the top, but in this case we're going to stick it through the bottom. And the next cable here that we have is our 4x4 pin, and we're actually going to stick it right here through the top. Now, I know that's like totally like, what the heck are you doing? Move, but trust me, you'll want your cable right there. And then we have this, now this and this plug in together. So we're just going to plug those in right here. They obviously go together, there we go. And then this goes there. And now we're really populating these here. And then this plugs in right here to, actually this. So there we go. So those are all of those cables right there plugged in. Okay, so now these two are left for our SATA drives. Then this cable is going to go through the bottom one because its connector is pretty close to the bottom of the motherboard. These are our front panel connectors and they plug in at the bottom, so we're just going to shove them in to the bottom. This guy is another front panel connector, our power switch right there, so we're just going to stick him through the bottom as well. And then USB, this is our front USB, stick it through the middle. There we go. Okay, HD audio, this is also going to go to the bottom because it plugs in at the bottom. Okay, there we go. And you can reference your motherboard manual if you do not know where something plugs in. But we're going to deal with these fans in a minute because now I want to deal with our SATA drives. And this cable goes somewhere, so we'll deal with that also in a minute. But now our SATA drive here, so pretty simple to install. Just kind of fits in there like that, so you're kind of just gonna slide it in basically. All you have to do is just kind of slide it, really, and then kind of shove it in. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, so I'm gonna get our drives in there and then I'll see you. Alright everybody, so I got our drives installed. So now we're going to take this cable that I was talking about before and we're just going to plug it into the bottom of our solid state drive. And it should just plug in. I don't know. Oh. I think it plugs in like that. There we go, yeah. And then this one actually is not going to reach, so we got to get one that reaches. Which, I think this one will probably reach, yeah. This one will reach to our hard drive, so. There we go, we got to get that plugged in. So I'll get these situated, and then we will plug everything in. We are now ready to plug in our cables. So the first cable that we are going to plug in is our CPU power cable, which is a 4x4 pin. Goes in the 4x4 up there. And then we're just going to stick it in like this. Now, this is probably the second worst cable to plug in. The first is probably your motherboard cable. That is a pain in the butt to plug in. Just a second. There, got it. And there we go. Pretty cable managed. Now next here is our motherboard cable, which is right here. And I'm going to put all these cables on the other side here. Motherboard cable, big 24 pin. Right there. Plugged in. And try not to touch the back of your motherboard. I just did by accident, but try not to touch it. Okay, so next, this is a fan, which I don't want to. I don't want to plug in these cables right now. These cables are all cables that I will get plugged in later. And another cable that you want to plug in last is your power reset switch. That cable, well, actually, not just your power reset switch, but all your front panel connectors. The super small ones you want to plug in last. There we go. Got to plug in our USB 3 there. HD audio also goes down here, which is this one. This cable right here. And you're just going to plug it in right there. Is where I'm pretty sure your HD audio goes. Right there. And you may have to, there we go. Oh no, it didn't plug in, what the heck. HD audio. Okay, just a second. Okay. Okay everybody, I know it's getting very difficult to see here because of all the cables, but the next cables that we are going to be plugging in are our SATA cables. Woo! Now they're just going to plug in like this. Not too difficult to plug in. Honestly, our HD audio, I did figure it out. There we go. And there we go. Now our SATA drives. Oops. There, now our SATA drives have power. Okay, we got our SATA drives plugged in. So this, I'm going to plug in a minute. Yep, that's all AIO. So we're going to get all that plugged in a second. Graphics card, we have to wait because it's not in the system, obviously. And this, I don't remember what this cable is. What cable is this? Oh! Actually, I know exactly what this is. This is our light strips. Our light strips are pre-installed. No, I'm kidding. I installed them and didn't take them out, so there we go. Our light strips are also installed. There we go. There we go. And now for our little friends, like our power switch and our front panel connectors. So let's get those plugged in. Okay everybody, so now what we're going to do is, now that we got all our cables plugged in, we're going to grab our graphics card. Now, we're just going to move our entire system back here, like that, so we have room. Oops, I forgot to tighten down that fan, but we're just going to move our entire system back here so we can install our graphics card. So here is the box for it. Perfect. Nothing else in the box except for the manual, but we won't need that. So here is the bag that our graphics card comes in. So we're just going to open it. And here it comes. Here it is. There is our graphics card. So now here we're just going to fold the bag back up. There we go. Put our manual back in. Do that, and there we go. Now we can put our graphics card in. Now, I love the backplate on this thing, but what we're going to do is we have to put our graphics card like that because we have to, just a second. Okay, everybody, so now that we've taken off these two, because we have to take them off, obviously, to install our graphics card, which is a beast here of a card. So you're just going to line it up with the slot, obviously. Make sure no cables are in the way when you're doing this, because we wouldn't want to crush a cable trying to put in our graphics card. And then it will just slide in. Just like so. Everybody, so now at this point that we got our graphics card all installed, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you tighten this back on, which we did. And now if you have any add-on cards like I do, you're also going to install those at this time as well. So same process, you're just going to take off the corresponding slot, and then you're just going to stick it in, just like so. And then your add-on cards are going to go here in these smaller slots. They would never go in a big 16x slot. Oops, and I am deeply sorry. I took off the wrong slot cover. So let me do that right now. Okay, everybody, so we got our sound card installed. So now what we're going to do is we are just going to plug in our graphics card. 6 plus 2 pin connector. And it does not want to go in today. Okay, everybody, we're back. The camera died, but got it plugged in. So, I was plugging it in backwards. And then this, we will cable manage later. Now, obviously, if we had a second graphics card, we would do that. But since we don't, we will just cable manage that later. Now, at this time is a great time to install your light strips. I already have mine installed, of course. I lied to you at the beginning. Well, here's our unboxing experience. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like it was a good idea to take them out. So now all of your components should be in the case. Now, we just have to finish up with our fans. And then we will be ready for a test boot. Okay, everybody, so as you can see, this is a complete disaster. So what I'm actually going to do is, well, first you're going to take this end, plug it into the hub in the order you want, and then you're going to take this end, route it through, and plug it into your motherboard. So I'm going to completely clean this up, and then I'll see you back. Okay, everybody, everything is running smoothly, so we are just waiting to see if it boots. And that's a problem. Alright, everybody, got it working, so thanks for watching, and have a great and fantastic rest of your day.
Go.